What's up guys, Peter here from Reviews on Anything, and today we're having a look at a product from a company called Lezyne. Now Lezyne makes anything from CO2 pumps to multi-tools to bike repair kits and so on, and more importantly to this video, bike lights. This is the Microdrive 400 XL, which as you can tell by the color is a front bike light. And it promises to be a very small, portable and lightweight package, yet with a very powerful light output. So pretty much the ideal bike light, so it seems. We're going to take a closer look and see what's what. Alright, so here we are with the Lezyne Microdrive 400 XL. We'll start with the packaging, which is not that much to see. It's a little plastic hanger with a pouch with the user manual on the back. And here's an overview of the different modes and how you charge it. So not much to see there. Let's put that to the side and focus on the unit itself. As you can see, it's nice and small in comparison to my hands. It fits easily in the palm of my hands, which is great because obviously you don't want a really bulky, large unit in front of your handlebars, which is not only inconvenient to take with you, but it's also just not nice. And this is nice and small, so that's perfect. And it only weighs 90 grams when you take the bracket off, so that's nice and light. The unit itself, nothing on this side. One button on the top, which is both the power on and off button and the toggle button between the different modes. On the side here it says, it has the logo and the type number, and on the bottom you get sort of a steel bracket with a rubber attachment strip attached to it. And that's really all there is to see. Obviously on the front here is the lights themselves, two ultra high output LEDs with a maximum output of 400 lumens, as the name already suggests, but we'll get to that in a second. First of all, we get to the start of the show, really, which is the charging mechanism. As you can see, it says USB, hope you can see it on camera, USB here on the back of this rubber tip, which you can take off, and it reveals the USB charger. Lezyne thought, well, we want to have a hassle-free, cable-free solution for charging this unit. Obviously there's a built-in rechargeable battery inside. So why not just add the USB charging stick to the unit, so you can just plug it into your wall adapter and all is well. Which I think is a nice and elegant solution, and it prevents you to have to fuzz around with cables in your garage or wherever, which is great. The only thing is that when you plug it in, obviously it sticks out quite a bit, if you can imagine this being the wall socket. So you have to be careful that you don't bump into it or put any weight on it, because this is obviously not designed to take any kind of load, so you have to be a little bit careful with that. But other than that, it's a very nice and elegant solution. I think it's quite a nice feature of this light. Then we get to the attachment bracket and the strip. Obviously this goes around your handlebars, and then you attach it here on the back. And that's it. So there's no fiddling around with mounts or brackets or anything complicated. No screwdrivers needed whatsoever. This will fit on pretty much any kind of handlebars as long as the rubber stretches around it. I do have to say it is, I think, a sensitive point of this light, because obviously, the rubber, it's rubber, so it'll stretch and bend, and it will eventually wear out. You can imagine this is, of course, exposed to the elements when it's outside, wet, cold, warm, dry, so on. And I think eventually these little rubber strips will give out. Don't get me wrong, it's nice and durable, it's very well made, and in our testing, we didn't have any issues with it. But you can imagine as you stretch it a lot, put it on tight, there's always tension and pressure on this piece of rubber. So I think eventually this will break, which is not a problem because you can buy replacement units from Lezyne, of course, and you can even get an actual steel mount. You can remove the rubber and get a permanent mount on your bike if you want to. So that's a thing to take into consideration. Then we get to the business end of the light. The two high output LEDs. They're really bright. Like I said, 400 lumens is the maximum output. But there are quite a lot of modes available to you. Press the power button once, nothing really happens. You have to keep it pressed for a few seconds and then it turns on. As you can see, it's nice and bright. And when you press the button again, you can see it dim and dim and dim. And then we get to flashing modes. More flashing modes, even a pulsating mode, and then back to the full bright mode again. In my opinion, you don't really need all these modes. Not to mention that in, depending on where you live, your country might have certain laws and regulations that only allow you to have a certain kind of light output in terms of a solid beam or blinking or whatever. So I'm not really sure that you need all these modes. I can't really see where you use a pulsating mode, for example. So, you know, it's a bit much. But then again, you know, if you use it in other environments other than on your bike, they might come in handy. And, you know, you can always select the mode that you prefer the most. Obviously, with the bright setting and then slowly dimming, it uses less battery the less bright it is, obviously. And you might want to select the brightness according to your environment as well. Now, Lezyne built in a memory function that reverts back to the last setting you used, which is great because you can imagine you'll be using the same setting probably most of the time. And if that's in the middle of the settings, it's a bit annoying to have to cycle through all the settings all the time to get to your preferred mode. So that's actually quite nice that when you turn it off, turn it back on, you get into that same mode. But still, you know, you don't need all those modes. Lezyne thought of that as well. And there is sort of a super mode, if you will. You enter that mode by pressing the power button for 5 seconds. And then it enters that super mode. That super mode only has 2 options. The normal output and the super bright output. And that's it. Only 2. So when you press the button again, it only goes to dim and super bright. Those are the only 2 options in that super mode. Which is great. I think this is much more effective than having the 7 modes with blinking and all the other options. This is just high and low, which is nice and simple when you're in, you know, an environment that requires a lot of light, you put it on high. If you require a little less light, you put it on low, and that's it. No thinking about it, no cycling through modes, no other options, just those 2. And I think that's actually probably the mode where you want to keep it in. Yes, the 400 lumen output is a lot and requires a lot of battery usage, so you know, the battery will drain quite quickly. But then you have the option for sort of the medium setting, which is much more durable on the battery and will get you along just fine. And I think for me personally, this sort of super mode is really the mode I had it in most of the time because I can just switch between the 2 modes and not having to think about all the other modes that I won't use anyway. So I think that's a nice touch. In conclusion, the Lezyne Microdrive 400 XL. I like it a lot. It's a nice and compact light, like I said in the beginning. Only weighs 90 grams, which is great. And I think for the money, you get a very good sort of money to lumen ratio. Which is in the end what you want. You want a powerful light that is durable. Obviously it's waterproof, so any kind of weather you'll throw at it will be fine as long as you don't go scuba diving with it. And the output is great. The build quality is great, and I even think that the charging solution here in the back with the USB stick is a very nice touch. And as long as you don't put any weight on it, that's you know, going to make you happy every time you plug it in. I think they've done a great job in building a solid, durable, quite a good looking light. And you know, if the rubber is a concern for you, then I suggest getting the fixed mount, which is always an option. But you know, this should last you for at least long enough to make sure that the light is for you. Now Lezyne offers a whole range of lights. This is sort of a medium range light that they carry. You can get lights with less output and lights with a lot more output if you want to. But I think this is you know, quite a good sweet spot for people that just use it in an urban environment. To bike to work and back or to school and back, and for the money you get a quality product with a very high output for the money. So I think they've done a good job in making a light that is, you know, very appealing for a large audience. Any downsides? Not really. I suppose, you know, that you have to charge it, you know, could be an issue for some people, but you know, then again, what's your alternative? Getting disposable lights that you throw away? That's not very effective either. And you know, besides the rubber, I can't really see any downsides of this light. Other than when you leave it on your bike, it might get stolen because you know, it's not very complicated to remove it from your bike. But you know, that's something you just have to keep in mind, that you take them off every time you arrive at your destination when your bike is unguarded. All in all, I like it a lot. I think they've done a great job in making quite a nice product. This is Peter from Reviews on Anything with a look at the Lezyne Microdrive 400 XL. Thank you, Lezyne, for providing us with the review unit. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!